Can I tell you something many men never consider? The way you masturbate may be teaching your body to finish faster than you want. Not because masturbation itself is harmful, but because your body can become accustomed to patterns you repeat again and again. Think about how many men first learned to masturbate, quickly, quietly, with tension, hoping nobody walked through the door. Get aroused, use the same grip, increase the speed, reach ejaculation, and finish. Repeat that pattern for years, and rushing can become familiar. Then, during intimacy with a partner, some men are frustrated when that same sense of urgency appears. They want to slow down and maintain control, but their body has spent years practicing something completely different. I'm Dr. Leah, and today we're going to discuss 6 solo practice techniques that can help you become more aware of your arousal, pacing, breathing, pelvic tension, and stimulation patterns. This isn't about feeling ashamed of masturbation or trying to eliminate it. It's about changing how you practice. Because if your normal routine is always fast, tense, and focused entirely on reaching orgasm, slowing things down may feel unfamiliar at first. But unfamiliar patterns can be practiced too. And the first technique is one you've probably heard about before, although many men aren't using it effectively. Technique number 1 is edging, slowing down and learning your point of no return. Many men know when ejaculation happens, but they haven't learned to recognize the signals their body gives them in the moments leading up to it. Start by understanding your normal pattern. During solo practice, notice how quickly your arousal rises and what changes as you approach ejaculation. You can picture arousal on a scale from 1 to 10, where 10 represents ejaculation. As you approach 8 or 9, instead of continuing at the same speed, slow down or pause completely. Allow the intensity to settle. Take several slow belly breaths. Relax your shoulders and jaw, and notice whether you're unnecessarily tightening your abdomen, buttocks, or pelvic muscles. Once your arousal decreases, begin again slowly. The script recommends approaching the edge several times before eventually allowing yourself to finish. The purpose isn't to frustrate yourself, it's to become familiar with the physical signals that appear before ejaculation becomes difficult to stop. And don't rely on distracting yourself by thinking about something completely unrelated. You're trying to develop awareness, not escape from the sensation. If you repeatedly practice rushing, your body becomes familiar with rushing. But when you practice slowing down, breathing, pausing, and recognizing your arousal level, you're introducing a different pattern. Technique number 2 is reducing your reliance on pornography during solo practice. For many men, porn becomes such a regular part of masturbation that attention shifts almost completely toward what is happening on the screen instead of what is happening inside the body. Think about it. Porn can move quickly from one scene to another, constantly giving your brain new visual stimulation. When you're absorbed in that experience, you may stop noticing your breathing, muscle tension, arousal level, and the subtle sensations that tell you you're approaching ejaculation. Partnered intimacy is different. There is another person involved, movements aren't perfectly predictable, and you're processing touch, sound, emotion, breathing, and physical sensation at the same time. So during some solo sessions, try removing porn completely. Instead of chasing visual stimulation, bring your attention back to your body. Notice your breathing. Notice when your shoulders tighten. Pay attention to changes in sensation as your arousal increases. Slow down enough to recognize what feels different at a 5 compared with an 8 on your arousal scale. If you're accustomed to porn, this may initially feel unfamiliar or less stimulating. That doesn't mean you failed. The purpose is to practice being present with physical sensation instead of depending entirely on a screen. Technique number 3 is pelvic floor awareness and rehabilitation. Your pelvic floor muscles play an important role in sexual function, including the muscular activity involved during ejaculation. Yet many men have very little awareness of what these muscles are doing as their arousal increases. And here's the important part. This isn't simply about squeezing harder or doing endless Kegel exercises. Pay attention to what happens naturally when you're getting close to ejaculation. Do your shoulders rise? Does your jaw tighten? Do you hold your breath? Do your buttocks clench? Does the entire pelvic region suddenly become tense? For some men, that full body tightening becomes part of their normal arousal pattern. And according to the approach described here, learning to recognize and release unnecessary tension may help develop better awareness and control. During slow solo practice, perform a simple body scan. Start with your face and shoulders, move through your abdomen and hips, and finally bring your attention toward your pelvic floor. As arousal builds, notice when those muscles begin tightening. Instead of automatically clenching harder, breathe slowly and practice allowing unnecessary tension to release. At first, the difference may feel extremely subtle. That's normal. You're developing a brain-to-muscle connection that you may never have consciously practiced before. And if you have persistent pelvic pain or difficulty identifying these muscles, a pelvic floor physiotherapist can provide individualized guidance. Technique number 4 is learning to relax as arousal gets stronger. This may sound strange because many men instinctively do the exact opposite when they feel ejaculation approaching. They tighten their abdomen, clench the pelvic region, hold their breath, and brace themselves as though they're trying to physically stop what is happening. But that tension can become part of the pattern you're trying to change. The script focuses specifically on developing awareness around the external urethral sphincter, a muscle involved in controlling urine flow and associated with the processes surrounding ejaculation. Rather than aggressively contracting the entire pelvic region, the technique emphasizes recognizing tension and practicing relaxation as arousal builds. During slow solo practice, notice what happens as you approach 8 or 9 on your arousal scale. Instead of clenching, slow down. Take a long, controlled exhale. Relax your stomach, buttocks, thighs, and pelvic area. Allow the intensity to decrease before continuing. Don't practice this by repeatedly stopping your urine stream. The goal is awareness during normal solo practice, not interrupting urination. This technique takes repetition because you're trying to recognize muscular changes that normally happen automatically. And remember, relaxation isn't guaranteed to treat premature ejaculation by itself. Persistent difficulties deserve proper evaluation. Technique number 5 is shifting stimulation toward the base or root of the penis. If you always focus on the most sensitive areas using the same pressure and speed, your body can become accustomed to that particular pattern. The idea here is to introduce a different type of stimulation while keeping arousal more controlled. The script describes research involving men with lifelong premature ejaculation who practiced masturbation, focused more around the base and root, rather than primarily on the head or upper shaft. Improvements in ejaculatory latency were reported after several months, although this is a newer approach and shouldn't be viewed as a guaranteed treatment. The principle is straightforward. Instead of constantly stimulating the area that produces the strongest response, shift some of your attention toward the base, close to where the penis meets the body. Keep your movements slow and intentional. Combine this with what you've already learned. Monitor your arousal on that 1 to 10 scale. Breathe slowly. If you notice yourself approaching the point of no return, reduce the stimulation and allow your arousal to settle. You're trying to practice experiencing stimulation without immediately turning it into urgency. After years of following one familiar routine, changing the location, pressure, and pace can make you more conscious of your body's responses. Technique number 6 is changing your usual masturbation pattern. If you use the same hand, same grip, same pressure, same position, and same speed every time, your body becomes extremely familiar with that routine. Eventually, you may perform it almost automatically without paying attention to what you're feeling. The goal here is to introduce variety and awareness. You might switch hands, change your body position, use lubricant if you normally don't, or simply reduce your usual speed and pressure. The script also discusses using a masturbation sleeve to introduce a different sensation, although the important principle is changing a routine that has become automatic. Whatever method you choose, don't turn it into another race toward ejaculation. Continue using the techniques we've already discussed. Monitor your arousal, breathe slowly, notice pelvic tension, and pause when you feel yourself approaching your point of no return. There's also a bonus strategy, masturbating before partnered intimacy. For some men, ejaculating approximately 1 or 2 hours beforehand may temporarily reduce urgency during sex. However, this varies considerably. Some men experience a longer refractory period or temporarily weaker erections afterward, particularly as they get older. So test what works for your body rather than assuming it's necessary. The bigger lesson is this: change the way you practice if you want to change the pattern your body has learned. So gentlemen, let's bring these 6 techniques together. If you've spent years masturbating quickly, using the same grip, chasing the same stimulation, and treating ejaculation like the finish line, your body may have become very familiar with that pattern. The purpose of these techniques is to introduce something different: awareness, pacing, relaxation, and control. I'm Dr. Leah, and here's what I want you to remember. First, practice edging so you become familiar with the sensations leading up to your point of no return. Second, reduce your dependence on pornography during some solo sessions and pay more attention to physical sensation. Third, develop awareness of your pelvic floor instead of automatically clenching as arousal rises. Fourth, practice relaxing and exhaling when you notice your entire body beginning to tense. Fifth, experiment with shifting stimulation away from only the most sensitive areas. And sixth, change familiar patterns by adjusting your pace, pressure, position, or technique. These aren't instant fixes, and persistent premature ejaculation can have multiple contributing factors. If it continues to cause distress, speak with a qualified healthcare professional. The central lesson is simple: don't always practice urgency if your goal is better control. Slow down, notice your body, recognize your arousal level, breathe, relax, and give yourself time to develop different responses. If you found this helpful, like the video, subscribe, and share it with another man who needs this information. And tell me in the comments, which of these 6 techniques are you most interested in trying?